Christopher Doring. Follow us on Twitter at Chris Doring, at Peter Burns ESPN, and you can always tweet the show using the hashtag SEC This Morning. Frank Fowler is back at our studios up north, and it's now time for a little SEC scoreboard.
Let's get caught up with all the latest scores and news in the Southeastern Conference.
A lot of stuff to get into.
It's time for the SEC Scoreboard with Frank Fowler.
All right, boys, let's break down some of these bowl games. We'll start with the New Year's 6 Capital One Orange Bowl, number 9 Florida versus number 24 Virginia. First initial thoughts when you look at that matchup.
Well, I think first of all, you talk about teams and handicapping these bowl games. You have to decide which ones are happy to be there. Florida, second straight year in a New Year's 6 bowl game, an opportunity to take a step forward after winning 10 games last year. They can make it 11 this year. And I think it's a mismatch, quite frankly. The number 9 team in the college football rankings against the 24th ranked Virginia Cavs.
Wait. There was not enough that you saw for Virginia looking great in the ACC championship game, losing. Oh, wait, no, they lost 62-17. Okay, yeah.
It's a one-dimensional, it's a one-man show with that offense. Their quarterback, Bryce Perkins. It's going to be a beatdown in Miami.
All right, so that your 5,000-star lead pipe, Tony Bruno lock.
That's my lock.
All right, you like Florida winning that game. Shocking that the Gator fan picked the Gator. All right, next game.
All right, All-State Sugar Bowl. That's going to be on January 1st. Number 5 Georgia versus number 7 Baylor. Should be a great matchup. First thought on that one.
I'm a little worried about this one, CD, because what happened last year when Georgia was knocked out, they couldn't play in the college football playoff, and they got a motivated Tom Herman-led Texas Longhorn team that was, we're back. And now they're going to face another Big 12 team looking to do the same?
It's an even more dangerous situation for Georgia because not only are they coming off an SEC championship loss, they're coming back with an injured group. But Georgia couldn't be more banged up at this point in time. I'd have to believe that DeAndre Swift is not going to play. I don't know what his status will be. I may be wrong about that. The receiving core is banged up. You lose Dominic Blaylock with that ACL injury in the SEC championship game. Cager, is he going to come back and play? I'm not sure that he'll be ready to go. Pickens, some rumors about his situation as well.
You lose Sam Pittman now, the offensive line coach, who's headed to be the head coach out at Arkansas.
But the one good thing was Georgia was embarrassed last year in that Sugar Bowl game. Kirby will have their attention after what's happened here in the game against LSU and what happened last year against Texas.
Yeah, the question is can they do something to make this offense look different than they had basically all season long? I'm not sure if that's going to be the case. Frank Fowler, next game.
All right, VRBO Citrus Bowl, number 13 Alabama versus number 14 Michigan. Should be an exciting one. 2 high-profile coaches. What do you like about that one?
I am fired up about this one. And I know Alabama fans might not be, but at least it is Michigan, so it is a blue blood. But Nick Saban is going to have these guys so dialed in for a bevy of different reasons. And the reason why, they cannot afford to go 0-4 versus their last 4 ranked opponents. They've lost their last 3 games when they faced someone in the top 25. Everyone's saying, oh, it's a Citrus Bowl, whatever. This is a big bowl game for Nick Saban to make sure, hey, listen, knock, knock, ding dong, the witch is not dead. We're still here, and you're going to have to fear us.
That's an interesting take because if you look at the bottom line, if you look at the crawl on ESPN over the last couple of days, the headline is read, Alabama misses the college football playoff for the first time. So how dialed in are they going to be in a game that's meaningless? Everybody talks about these bowl games now as not having, if you're not playing in the college football playoffs, the rest of them really have no value. I think there's certain teams that can find value in it, but for Alabama, this is a huge step backwards. I understand your argument, but at the same time, how many players are even going to play in this game? I mean, I know Greg McElroy told us last night he expects the majority of the Alabama players that could be eligible for the NFL draft to play, but this is going to be a defining moment for this program to see just how committed these guys are, knowing that their eligibility is coming to a close.
It's a huge coaching matchup as well, too. Obviously, Saban and Harbaugh, top of the list as far as who's talked about in college football coaching. But keep in mind, Harbaugh's coming off of a horrendously bad end to the season, in which they got blown out once again by Ohio State. So both of these coaches looking...
You can say that for the last 5 years, by the way.
The last 8 years, and 16 of the last 17 years that Michigan's lost to Ohio State. But both of these coaches looking to be at the upper echelon of coaching and need to make sure that they win the Citrus Bowl. That is crazy, and that's where we're at in 2019 going into 2020. Frank Fowler, next game.
All right, Academy Sports and Outdoor Texas Bowl will actually get this game in just 18 days. Texas A&M versus number 25 Oklahoma State. What intrigues you about this game?
This is actually one of the games that I'm most excited about because Texas A&M, by a lot of people's standards this year, maybe a little bit disappointing despite how challenging that schedule was. They didn't get any of the big marquee matchups to fall their way that we talked about in the preseason. In fact, they lost to Auburn as well. But this was a year of growth. It was a year of playing young players. It was a year of having to go through some of those growing pains. But it's going to pay dividends in 2020 when their schedule eases up. And some of those freshmen and sophomores are now sophomores and juniors. To me, this is not the final game of 2019.
Yeah.
It's the first game of 2020. Jimbo Fisher will have his guys dialed in.
I think so. And I don't know if Chuba Hubbard's going to play, who's their star running back, of course, going to the NFL. So I think that would probably be something that leans towards Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies having some success.
Not to mention the fact you want to get that bad taste of that LSU defeat out of your mouth. 169 yards of total offense for Kellen Mond and company. They're going to come out and play a much more wide open, physical brand of football like we've expected to see from Jimbo Fisher.
And Jimbo Fisher likes to stop the run a little bit more, and I think he takes some pride in that. We'll see that he's able to do that with Mike Elko in that defense. Next one.
All right, Music City Bowl, Mississippi State versus Louisville. That'll be on December 30th in Nashville. Should be a very intriguing game between those two teams. What do you like about it?
I was worried that we may not see Kylan Hill in this game because, hey, NFL aspirations. Same reason why Chuba Hubbard may not play in the Academy Texas Bowl. Yeah. Joe Moorhead told me yesterday, hey, he's playing. He's already practicing. And I know why.
Yeah.
Why?
He's looking at a porous run defense for Louisville. 517 yards,
Show
6
me
touchdowns.
that money.
Last time we saw them against Kentucky, you don't think that Garrett Schrader, Tommy Stevens, Kylan
Lynn
Hill,
Bowden just scored another touchdown on Louisville's defense. That's how bad they're a world
like
of suck that defense.
dog right now, salivating at the opportunity to get out there and play against this defense.
Him and Garrett Schrader, right? And this, to me, we talked about coaches and teams that are motivated to have some success. There's no doubt, right? Joe Moorhead has not had a postseason win. He needs this win because it was 50-50 for the Egg Bowl on whether or not he was going to be the guy over at Mississippi State. He said, you're going to have to drag my Yankee you-know-what out of here. He wants to make a point, and I think they were able to do that in the bowl game.
I agree with you. A chance to set tones for the 2020 season for them as well. What else we got, Frank?
All right, Belk Bowl, last one ever, Kentucky versus Virginia Tech. That'll be December 31st at 11 a.m. Central Time. Should be a good one, guys.
You look at Bud Foster, defensive coordinator, legendary defensive coordinator. If he can't come up with a game plan to stop Lynn Bowden Jr. in this rushing attack, and it's just kind of, hey, we're going to run the ball, I don't know who can, right? I mean, it cannot be solved.
This Kentucky offense with Lynn Bowden at the quarterback position the last 7 games of the season sliced and diced everybody they played. And there's some pretty good defensive coordinators in this league. I'm not taking anything away from Bud Foster, but I'm not sure that anybody can stop this run defense or this run game that Kentucky rolls out there every week.
I'm looking forward to that. It might be the last opportunity to see one of the most impressive athletes we've ever had an opportunity, and really a privilege to watch in the SEC, which is Lynn Bowden Jr. And if you get a chance, go to SEC Network and look up the transformation that he has made, not just from wide receiver to quarterback, but just as a young man, has a young child.
That's what college is about.
It is. It's about learning. He learned under Mark Stoops, and a fantastic job. And I know you always get emotional talking about Eddie Grant. All right, a couple more bowl games. What do we have?
Yeah, number 12 Auburn versus number 18 Minnesota. January 1st, guys. Row the boat. Should be a good one.
You ready for this one? This might be like number 2 on my list because PJ Fleck has been an exciting breath of fresh air for Minnesota. And I saw Gus Malzahn in Atlanta, and he had that same look about him that he did right before the Purdue game in the bowl game last year where they could have put up 100. He's kind of feeling it. Bo Nix, I'm looking forward to this one, and I think that's a fantastic matchup.
Yeah, you got to figure out who's going to play in these types of ball games.
Right, Derek Brown.
Big-time players up front for Auburn's defense, and you mentioned Derek Brown, Marlon Davidson, those guys. If they get all those guys to play, I think it's going to be a nice little matchup between Tanner Morgan, the quarterback at Minnesota, the leading passer in the Big Ten, against this Auburn defense. So that's the matchup that I'm most intrigued about.
One more bowl game to go.
Yes, Gator Bowl, Tennessee versus Indiana. PB, you nailed it. This is not your typical Indiana football team that we're used to seeing. That'll be on January 2nd. That actually is a very intriguing game, at least on paper.
Yeah, Tom Allen, a lot of people don't know, just signed a new deal at Indiana. Now he's going to make $4 million a year. You know why? He brought an 8-4 season to the Hoosiers. And this is monstrous, I think, for Jeremy Pruitt. To end the season on a high note, and that would be 6 straight wins going into 2020. Monster game.
They were not even expected to, after losing those first two ball games, to even be bowl eligible. But the run they've gotten themselves on, they're going to be a team that's grateful for having a chance to play another one. A lot of seniors that are going to be departing, that are going to be playing their last football game down in Jacksonville, so I expect those guys to
I hope motivated. They play, because I want another opportunity to see Juwan Jennings. I want to see Marquez Callaway's.
We're not going to see Juwan Jennings till the second half. I mean, he's suspended in the first half of that ball game, unfortunately.
Right, but I also want to see, Daniel Batuli, Nigel Warrior, guys that really kind of coalesce late into the season, put all of the wagons and circled them to make sure that they could end up the season with a good, solid note. They need to do that in a win against the Hoosiers. All right, there it is. 9 different teams going